And welcome everybody to the TriggerCharts pre-market rundown for Friday, March 12th, 2021. Hey, I'm Andrew Horowitz, and I am the co-founder of TriggerCharts. There I am. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How are you? Hopefully you can hear me just fine. Hopefully you're having a great week. Hopefully you are sticking by the rules. A couple things that we're going to talk about today is how to make sure that you're staying on the right side of the trade. Something that's really important to do on a regular basis is to really take a moment, take a breath, and say, okay, am I following my rules or am I getting emotional? Am I looking at what it is that where I should be on the right or am I on the wrong side of all this? And what am I doing? And when it comes to investing, a lot of times because it is dealing with something that's near and dear to our heart, which is our wallets, our purses, our moolah, we get a little emotional about it, don't we? We try our hardest not to, especially for traders who are doing this all the time. Much different for somebody who's a buy and hold investor and they're thinking that they have a 10, 15, 20-year time horizon. But as a trader, whether you're a swing trader, day trader, scalper, the fact is that sometimes emotions can get in the way of doing the right thing. So that's why we have an entire toolkit that is dedicated to providing for you a very, I'll say simple, but a very easy way for you to understand of where you are, where the biases are, long, short, or consolidating. Before we go any further, I just want to make sure you understand that anything that we talk about today is for educational purposes only. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell any security, and just take it as that. We talk about individual names on a regular basis, and I invite you to provide me in the chat your thoughts on some names that you would like us to look at, but recognize that you have to do the work. It is important to understand that you are in charge of your money. We are not giving recommendations at all. I may give you some ideas that, hey, this is looking ripe for this, or you know what, this is in a consolidation. That doesn't mean that, hey, you should buy or sell or do anything without doing your own research. So with that in mind, let's close it up and let's get into what we talk about here. In the chat, by the way, I put in there's a couple of links there. There's a link to the TriggerCharts Commander Series, as well as that will take you to everything that we have over on the trading store for TradeStation. And to make sure you also know that it's a 10-day free trial for anything that's available there. So, I mean, why not try it, right? We have the #1 rating overall. We're some of the most popular overall number of users on the TradeStation platform. So that should be telling you something. A lot of people are making a lot of money with these tools on the TradeStation platform. Well, what do we see this week? Where are we? What's happening? Well, I think that the major issue that we really need to focus in on is the fact that we had the buy the dip, right? Go, go, go. Once that market comes down, there's no stopping those buyers from coming in for some reason or the other. Now, we do know if you look at the chart to the right, this is the 10-year Treasury note rate, and we saw it. This is... Actually, it's 1.605 it closed. You got to take off a couple of zeros on this. And that's where it is actually trading right now. So 1.605 is up substantially from where it was. Look how over the last few days it came down so nicely, right? If you take a look at where we are here, let me take out my little annotation tools that I didn't put up yet. But let's take a look at this right now and take a look at that. What we had here on the right-hand side was this really nice drop off relatively down from an incredible move. Now, this is a daily chart, and you can see the move from February that went from 1%. This is, again, just consider these percentages, right? 1. Just move the decimal point over. You could do that, by the way, on the settings. But basically what you do is if you start to get this in your mind, we went from 1 to 1.6. That's a pretty hefty move on rates. And the consideration of valuations, especially in the high Momo area. That's why we're seeing again today the NASDAQ sell off by 200, but yet the Dow Jones Industrials are up. They're up. Amazing, this bifurcation or this totally separated markets where the NASDAQ is rallying and the Dow is rallying, or the Dow is rallying and NASDAQ is down. And right in between all of it is right here, the SPOOs, right? So when we're looking at this and we're looking at the down 1.6% to start the morning, this is the reason right now, because there is concern there's inflation in the market. Now, this happened before the PPI numbers came out today. They came down a bit from last month, but there's still concern that we are going to see the continuation of an inflationary trend, especially due to the fact that the $1.9 trillion dollar stimulus package was signed into law yesterday. and we're going to start to see some of those payments come into individuals' accounts probably by this weekend, $1,400. So all that being considered, with the extension of unemployment, money going into teachers' unions, money going to state coffers, vaccines, and special payments, there is the real chance with low interest rate environment that, well, hey, we're going to see inflation. And now the Fed has kind of lost control. Let me tell you something. We start peaking out over this level on the top here, probably, I would say about 1.62. And you start seeing a spike like we saw the other day, like this day here, this massive spike up right here, or this day it did reverse down. Those are shock numbers for the markets, especially for those highly valued names that have really expanded the multiples dramatically. Economic data, we saw the CPI ex food and energy come in tame. That did calm markets earlier this week. Realize that when we look at that and we take out food and energy, that doesn't really give us the full picture. When we look at the core, or the headline number, we are seeing more inflationary pressures. Now, on a year-over-year basis, not that big of a deal. I kind of looked at this both on a month-over-month basis, which are showing some clear pickups in inflation. That is a problem for markets. And at the same time, when you look at the overall year-over-year, it's not that bad. Question is whether that's going to change very soon. And we know that the Fed said that they're going to let the economy run hot. So that's what we're getting. We're getting the potential for a reopening trade, people getting out there, a roaring 20s style, get me the hell out. I want to spend my money. I want to travel. I want to eat. I want to drink. I want to go. That's what's happening right now. Tell me that's not you. I mean, I think we're all a little bit cooped up in one way or another. Listen, I'm down here in Florida where it's wide open. We're still kind of cooped up down here to a degree, right? You know, we're really not traveling abroad. We're not traveling to other states as much. We're staying kind of in the general vicinity, a lot of us, going out but being very careful. There's still that kind of PVSD, I call it, post-virus stress disorder, that is, in fact, permeated through all of us, or many of us. And the concern is, you know, how long is that going to last? Or are we going to unleash just a dramatic opening into the next level of spending, especially with all the stimulus coming in? So major stuff happening right there. Growth expectations are about 6%, which sounds bizarre, for next year's GDP. And that is possible, but at the same time, realize that it's on a very low base and went off a very low base. So we saw that big cut down on the GDP, the historic low, move on a one-quarter basis back in 2020. And really, we're just comparing that to this. So it's a big pickup just to get us back to the even number is pretty much what's going on. So it's not as spectacular as you would think at first. It's good. There's nothing wrong with that. PPI, again, today, the markets and the treasuries were moving up before the PPI came in. And this is the big number of the day we have to recognize here, right? $1.9 trillion coming into the market. Themes, clearly a stimulus flush. Valuations don't really matter, but they do all of a sudden. And we knew that if you follow me on Twitter, I talked about this 3 weeks ago. I mentioned that, hey, you know what, this ARKK, the ARK investments, whether it's the ARK Innovations or the FinTech, all these ETFs are really tracking in some very hot money. When that money starts coming in, what do they have to do with it? Well, they need to apply it to their positioning. So if they have Tesla at a 10% position, or what was an 8.7%, then when Tesla dropped the first time, they moved it up to a 10.5% position, buying up shares, moving the stock up, then it rolled over again. But once money starts in, if it starts rolling out of that hot money area, the concentration of stocks that Cathie Wood has inside of her portfolio is going to suffer. So you saw the CRISPRs, you saw the Teslas, you saw the names that are in there, these innovation funds, particularly with the high level that she has in there, really have some problems over the last couple of weeks. Big drops on all of that. Again, big week this week, probably one of the best weeks of the market in a while, few days. I mean, I saw some of the names that we own in portfolios up 20%, 15% in 2 days in a row, and in the beginning of the week once, after being down 15, 20% last week. I mean, gigantic moves that's happening. But the reopening trade is the big thing right now, that we have to really pay attention to. KRI Indicator, interesting. Let's take a look at that for a second. Where are we? Yep, running a little bit hot here. Right here came into this level that was kind of, I would say, getting from where we were. Remember, we saw these clusters form right here. I always talk about these clusters that are forming. And we have these clusters that form overall you want to start looking for where is the exit going to be and where are we going to see a rotation down. Now, what was nice was usually you want to see something like this bar right there, where you see the bottoming happening, where you see a major reversal intraday, kind of this candlestick right there where you have a launch off the bottom usually means that you're going to start seeing this kind of V recovery, especially with the kind of market we have now. The market that we have now is all about people putting hot money in and pulling money out here and there, utilizing everything they can to go on margin. Margin is pretty hot right now. You want to look at these kind of things as right now when you start to get a move below zero as indicators that, hey, it is a time to go back in potentially and look for opportunities. Now, I like to see when we see more of a -2, -3, -5. Here was a -2 on this one. We saw a -2 here, but still, we saw a pop right afterwards, then a continuation drop. Right now, we're going to kind of come in over this way right here today, kind of that triple top all-time high area is going to be some form of resistance. But the KRI was clearly telling us something. What is it telling us now? Well, we're back to a +3 on this right now. On this one, no clusters forming. That will probably resolve a little bit to the downside today. When we look at our chart later today, I would venture to say we'll take a couple points off, assuming that we stay in the sell mode throughout the day. So that's going to be kind of a key issue right there. But nonetheless, we are seeing very fast movements, obviously, in markets, resolutions of oversold and overbought conditions. Let's go here. Let's go back here for a second. Bitcoin. I mean, I started wondering, is Bitcoin a religion or a revolution lately? And it seems like it's starting to get towards the religion side of things. Trying to, go into this throughout the day, short it during the mid part of the day, see if it comes in, see if there's an opportunity. Not moving very much, hit an all-time high last night, 57.8, I think is the number. Kicked off of that, a couple thousand points down today. But we're also seeing that gold is coming in, seeing that crude's coming in. Kind of one of these, again, sell-offs to sell everything. Economic and earnings, we got retail sales, inventories, industrial production next week, along with housing starts. Most importantly, the FOMC rate decision. Pay attention to that. I think it's on Wednesday with, of course, a press conference. And Powell trying to do his best to keep us in line and buying all of his nonsense about there's no inflation. It's transitory. We're going to look at some of the SPACs. We're going to talk about that probably throughout this. We're going to talk about a variety of stocks here today that I have listed. Got edit that somebody asked me about. We got TER. I'll put that on here. Let's put that on here. What you're looking at right now is the Commander Series. This is how it looks with the addition right here on this chart of the Aileron, which I like to put on. This is another one. I think it's $29 a month, something like that. It's cheap, to be honest with you, for what this does. Basically gives you a double confirmation, level of confidence, a level of coincident indicator, if you will, to provide us with, hey, you know what? Where is this going? Right here, TER as an example. We're looking at this. It's in starting right about here was a really concerning area. We got a confidence because we saw it break down below some key support. We turned red on the autopilot. That started moving down. We also saw that was going to be significant because the momentum had changed dramatically with this, okay, like we saw here. Now, here's what's really interesting about this, and I really want you to focus in on something right now. And I want you to focus in on this. I'm going to make it bigger because this particular stock, when you look at a couple things about it, in particular, when you look at where the Aileron is and you got a small overdone cluster that formed right there. A couple of times you've seen that where we got these levels and then it held and started moving back up. Now, you need to see that the momentum starts changing. Right now, we do not see that same momentum change right here. We saw it a couple of days later that it really started to pick up. Same thing kind of here. We saw a divergence right there. If you were to kind of move into the stock at this level when it was that oversold in this range, and you said, hey, I'll wait till it breaks out. This was an interesting breakout right here because you saw a really great base where there's only two lines. This is really an important function. I want you to pay attention here. Seriously, let's stop everything that we're doing and watch what I'm going to show you right now. And what I want to show you is this area here, because when you look here, I'm going to zoom in maybe, you'll notice that there are only two lines as opposed to three, right? In this one, there's a red, which is our unfair high, right? There is a blue line, which is our point of control. Excuse me. And We have no green, no unfair low. Or do we? Let's hover over this area. Let's just kind of click somewhere here and look. Notice on the bottom there, you see where it says cruise and stall, which is lift is the unfair high, the cruise is the point of control, the stall is our unfair low. Under the stall is do not go long. Above the lift, you do not go short. Biases short or long. But look at the cruise, exact same numbers. See that? 76.53, 76.53, which means that right here, there was a double line. One was overlapping the other, saying that there's a really heavy amount of support at these levels. And we're talking about down at $75 or so, right? $76. Well, when you see that kind of situation, you see that we can't break below. That's like, hey, you know what? There is somewhere, somehow, some institution, somebody that is really very serious about keeping the number above there, not going below that level. And when you see that, you have to recognize that there is the potential for a really good opportunity for an entry. Because when you enter into that level, you realize that somebody is supporting, or many people are supporting. The volume shows us the footprint in the sand, the fingerprint on the chart. It's showing us that there is a significant amount of support at that level. Then you combine that with the aileron starting to do a showing diversion on the way up, it's starting to move up, even though there's no price appreciation here. It's sticking right here for weeks on end, for a month. But it's coming up, and then all of a sudden you get this move above the zero line and a break. All of this from 76, the next level at 88. Then you got some dips, but not very deep. Look how those dips were very shallow, very shallow. This was a great run for a long time. So where are we now? Well, that thing turned around pretty good in the last couple of weeks, just like all these other tech stocks did, generally speaking, or many stocks, I should say. But now we're starting to see a much deeper level right here, much wider ranges right here. Does it have the chance to come down to 100 again? I would think so. Where is it going? I mean, I would think that this stock has the opportunity to come back. You got a few things going on. You got a bit of a head and shoulders pattern going on here, which is kind of somewhat resolved, probably down about the $100 level if you kind of calculate the length of the shoulder and double it down. You also have the fact that you're seeing that there really is not a lot of movement here. However, we are holding at the 107. I don't know what the magic is there. Probably got to look at also a weekly level to see something here. And let's clean this up. Weekly level. We're below the weekly. We're pretty close to it. They're trying to keep it up. Where are we now? Down $2 at 111. Right here. Yeah, so they're right exactly right there. Right, what is that? One stall is what? 112.13. Slightly below this. I mean, you have a pretty wide range. Again, down to about 91 if this does break. So I would say that this is not my favorite position from a charting standpoint right now. I'm not talking about fundamental or anything like that. PLNT, this stock is really interesting. This is Planet Fitness. We've been talking about, this has kind of been creeping higher, creeping higher, creeping higher. Is there a short opportunity? Fundamentally, it's really kind of ugly. Chart shows that it's kind of in between. Doesn't really give us either or, doesn't give us an edge here really, but we still think from a fundamental standpoint there's something there. Edit. This is kind of, starting to see that diversion, right? That kind of move to the upside, the rounding of this. We just picked this up for clients a couple days ago. This is a gene editing company. There's a couple of different ones out there, and I think that there's an opportunity in this area, especially this was a $90 stock, now down trading at about 46. Today, down a little bit. But you have to look at this, you get above this level right here, the 47.80, where we're trading now, 46, right below there. This consolidation right about 44 is pretty sharp. Low really doesn't seem to be able to close below 41 and change. This is, I would say, pretty encouraging. When we look at the opportunity for the aileron to come off of the bottom, and if you could see that kind of get up to a positive again, you could see that this thing really could have some significant momentum once we start doing that. Look at this range right here. Now, this was a better basing pattern all the way back here at obviously a lot lower price at 30s and stuff, but getting above 54, I would say 53 and change, 53.5, which I'm going to bring down here. Right about there. 53, we'll call it, is a a major point on this. If it could turn the corner, it would be very, very good for the stock. Let's see what else we got. We got terror. Okay, let's go to the top here. Yeah, no. CELH dropped off a cliff yesterday. This is a soft drink provider that had just an amazing run over the last several months. Right now, trading pretty much in line with 45s and change, right? Well, let's see what this is. 46, just hover, just click left click and hover over any of these lines. It gives you all the information. So you got 46 bucks, currently trading 45.55, down about 20% yesterday. It was down as much as 30% yesterday. There's concern that it ran too much, obviously. I would say the consolidation down to about 46 is probably interesting. Really like the 44 level a lot more. Where did we get down to yesterday? 42 and change. I'm not sure what that's an overshoot in my opinion. So this has just been choppy and kind of nowhereville consolidation for a while. Fundamentally, it's good, but nonetheless, Workhorse. This company is kind of interesting where they had a great run for a long time, then just got absolutely obliterated, down 50% as they didn't get a postal deal, a U.S. Postal Service deal. And what's happening right now is we are seeing that there is a consolidation back in this range, and then this is kind of a shallow. It's kind of interesting. It hasn't really come off that much like we've seen some of these other areas, which I find very interesting. So the momentum is kind of still just, I mean, obviously, aside from the big blowout, right now we need to get above, I would say, 1840, 1825, I guess is the number. Yeah, that would be clear. 1825 to see this ramp back up. All they need to do is get a deal from the post office. This thing goes right back, in my opinion, from a chart because we have such a very, the small B here. Right, see this B? Look at this shape of this radar here, small b. Once you get above this level, there's really no significant amount of resistance up to about, I would say, right about here, $20. So you got about $4 upside here. Downside looks like probably with the thought they weren't going to have a deal at all down to 14, so we're trading at 16. Not that much of a downside there. GME, I don't want to talk about that. Bumble, recent IPO, you know what this is Swipe, and the girl swipes, and they like, it's a dating app. Basically, good company, great company overall. Had a great number yesterday, up about 20%. Obviously, it was up a lot higher at one point yesterday. Came back down a little bit, but what I like to see from IPOs is this kind of maneuver where we sink it, and then you start getting above. If you can break out above about 75 right here, this is kind of an IPO move that you want to see. Roblox, another IPO. Watch this. Just keep it on your radar. This is kind of interesting. This is a pot stock. This is TrueLeave. They have a lot of stores down in Florida. So a really nice move. Straight line up. Trend line clearly is up here. A little bit of a dip over the last few days. Nice hold. Beautiful hold at about 42. If you can grab that at 42, I think what happens is you get that basing that's going on right there. Seeing that move back up potentially with all the, one of the ways you want to play marijuana, this is the retail side. So kind of interesting, one of the well-known retail sides of things. Overstock, interesting situation here. You would think that with Bitcoin moving up as much as it did with their T0 and they just got a deal today that there would be some kind of pop on this. The stock did get to support here. Again, we draw a simple line across. We got right to support right there. Right, just grab your line tool, connect several altimeter points right there. Give or take, you can be within a couple of cents of it right there. You notice we came right to the bottom there a few different times, right? Kind of went below here, came back up. Right here, we got kind of overdone about 10 days ago, which is right about, showing it right here. Now we start seeing this momentum start coming up. Got to watch this. Not totally thrilled with the action right now on this, but it's something to keep an eye on. There was somebody else that had a question here. JKS. Somebody said JKS, was it Jinko Solar, has a small B. Now, is that on a daily? No, it said, excuse me, a P. Who is this? Robert. Robert, is this on a daily that you're looking at the P? The P, these P's over here. This is a normal distribution. This is normal distribution. This is a B. This is a big B. All right, let's draw it. Let's take our tool and let's draw it. Let me get to the tool. Okay, so that's not the tool I want. I want this one. See that? That's a big B. Now, it has the P on the top, yes, and what that means is that there's going to be resistance up until the point up there. You do have very sloppy, this whole region on the bottom here is very sloppy when it comes to momentum. Even if we weren't looking at that, we could see there's a pretty good or significant amount of overall consolidation here, which is good, but that consolidation resolved itself on the downside. I would say that really the upside of this is about 56 and change, which is a nice move from 48, but what's going to be the catalyst of that? That's the big question, and how is that going to move? You know, that's something we need to really think about. Let's clear these. Where are we doing? Okay, we got time for, I said so, somebody else had another one here. Blink, BLNK. Nice move on some of these last couple of days. You know, we saw that the resolution of this downward action, the momentum started moving down 5% today as the NASDAQ is selling off, and all these Momo names will sell off today, by the way. When you look down to the Aileron, kind of interesting move again, but really here is what you want to pay attention to, right? You had some really good support right here at about 29 and change, currently changing at 39. I mean, this thing came down to 26 bucks, and it was trading yesterday as high as 41. We're talking about, what is that, a 15-point move? Is that right? 26, 30, yeah, 15-point move on 26. That's like a 60% move to the upside. Pretty substantial. Has some work to get to the top here, but yesterday, as a matter of fact, we have this for client accounts. We took a little piece of this off right at that top as we're approaching into resistance here. And you can see some of the resistance on different charts play out a little bit differently. Obviously, currently trading yesterday, closed at 41.40, which is right about there. Right there, closed yesterday. Big rotation here. But, you know, there really was not much that on the upside from there that we saw. So right now trading right below again on the weekly, 39 and change, which is kind of approaching the weekly level of support when you kind of look at the chart right there, which is at 37.65. So it wouldn't be too surprising if we see some more sell-off in this, if you did see some of that move on the downside potentially. But, you know, the name we like, generally speaking, SPAC. Beam. What is this? Beam Global. All right. Similar kind of look here to this. I mean, it's kind of this big run up, a giant consolidation, just a blow off. Now, this was an interesting one right here. I mean, this was clearly, you know, if you saw this breakdown at this point right here below 54, there was nothing. When always we talk about the same thing. We talk about the idea of looking left, right? I always say, hey, look left, look left, look left. Always look left. Look at the top here. What do we have on the weekly and the daily, and then looking at the 60 minute or whatever you have on your chart? These can be programmed because you want to see a consistency. You want to see either all longs or a change. You want to see from possibly maybe a short that's or a short alert, or maybe even a short profit, let's say on the right hand side, the longer, and the early ones coming up. You want to see that the 30-minute, the 60-minute starts to turn maybe into the long, and that will just start moving across. And as you move across, that gives you that counter trade or the contra trade to start saying that, hey, this is an opportunity right here. So when we look at this stock on the chart here, assuming that we can bring this up real quick, it's working. Let me clear all this for a second. Okay, so when we look at this all here, yep, that's what we're seeing, right? All the way to the right, we're seeing short alerts here, short alerts, that's short on the weekly, long alerts, but we're starting to see long bars over here, and now this will start to resolve. We got even on a daily, a long alert here. So if we kind of go back a few days in our mind and we think about where this was a couple days ago, we had some shorts going on over here, shorts going on here, shorts going on here, and or even an out, and then all of a sudden started turning. So you got that basing pattern, which I really liked. You know, we're starting to see this move up right now. This is again on a daily chart. That's really good. You do have some resistance up above about 51 and change, clearly about 55. But I would say that this level down here is pretty solid. I like how tight these altimeters are right here. So if you can kind of play it in and out for a little while, if there's something that you're looking to hold, but then load up again down to the 30s, which is a long way from here, I understand. But with the volatility that we're seeing, that's quite possible it can happen. Anyway, we're going to end it right there. Thank you, everybody, for joining me this week and every week for TriggerCharts. Make sure to get your free trial. Make sure to subscribe. Listen, forget the free trial. Let's be honest. You want to make some money? Subscribe. People are making money. We hear it every day from people writing in, telling us that they're doing great. They love it. And people have been using this for years. It's not like they just try it for a month or two and that's it. If you play by the rules, and we have tutorials on the site, we have user guides that come with this. If you play by the rules and inside the boundaries, don't let your emotions get the better of you. You know, I think you have an opportunity on any, whether it's stocks or even crypto or possibly even futures. So, or Forex for that matter. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. And I'm going to see you again next week. Have a great day.